So I showed it to him. And he was like, man, look, I want you to come back and work for me. Okay, cool, just give me a call. So his partners, the Henley brothers, his other boy didn't too much take me in as fast. So make a long story short, I remember the Community Development Corporation, she called. So they called and gave me some hours. So I called my boy Zach, rest in peace. Told him, she said, okay, I'm gonna call my partner and he's gonna call you and make sure he calls you. I said, okay. So, partner never called. So by Sunday, guess what? Community Development Corporation called me back. Said, look, we want all your hours. We want you to work at least 40 hours a week for us. Like, for real? Yeah, it's like right before I'm like, not a problem. Thank you, Lord. So I went to work for him, so I didn't go to work for Liberty Tax, or my ex-boss, rest in peace, in this livelihood. So I worked for them, Quantum CDC, who had a partnership with the IRS to prepare income taxes, to set up sites to prepare free income taxes throughout the metropolitan of LA. So usually they partner with churches, community development centers, and libraries. So my site coordinator and I, we ran about 3 to 5 sites. So basically I would go set up the computers and prepare income taxes for low-income individuals whose income is less than $50,000. So and we went to areas where nobody wanted to go. Watts, Compton, So, you wanna go there? I go. It's my people, man.
Yeah.
So I went to the hood and I did it. And then I enjoyed doing it. So, but at the same token, I'm a tech guy, Jay. So I noticed little things, technology stuff that could probably be improved upon. So at the end of that year, I put together a little proposal. At the same time, I was rebuilding PV. Saving as much money as I could to put operations back in place. Well, after tax season, my boss called me. Oh no! Before tax season ended, I started to moonlight with my boss over Liberty Tax. No. Tax season ended, and then I think I continued to do taxes a bit on my own, and then I don't know, Jay, I can't remember exactly what happened, but the following year, my boss, he approached me and said, "Hey, look, I want you to work for me." So I said, "Okay, but remember, I noticed a few things during my first year with this community development corporation, so I drew up this proposal to present to the IRS, but I didn't know who to give it to. But at the same time, remember, I'm trying to build capacity and money to fund PV. Right. So I got hip to what's called the CDFI fund, which is basically a fund out of the United States Treasury for capacity building CDEs, community development entities like the Quantum CDC, which I was working for, to fund small companies like ours in the industry, in the community. Well, none of this money is flowing down to the industry. I wanted to know why or get in that loop to help. So I went to this CDFI fund meeting at the Treasury building downtown. And guess what? The regional rep for the IRS was there and she was speaking. So make a long story short, she made her spiel. And when she got through, I got up there and I chased her out. I said, hey, I'm part of your VITAL program. I'm one of your volunteers. She said, hey, nice to meet you. And I introduced myself. I said, look, my name's Blair. I'm an engineer and I worked for you guys last year. I have a proposal that I prepared. I think it may help out and be beneficial to upcoming tax season. She said, okay. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Here's before I met her, I actually got contact through just personal research of one of the other persons there. So when I talked to him, I told him what I wanted to do. He said, "Hey man, look, this is way over my head. You're gonna have to talk to such and such, such and such." So I knew who she was. So when I talked to her,
Nice.
I dropped his name. She's like, "Yeah, that's my son." I was like, "Yeah, I know already." She's like, "Girl, I want you to talk to him and blah blah and follow up," which I did. I forwarded the proposal, and long story short, we ended up having a major conference calls between the technology department, myself, and the regional director. And then because before then, basically the proposal was for implementation of wireless networking to the IRS for transmission of tax data. And prior to that, it was prohibited. And next year, they implemented wireless procedures for transmission of tax data into the IRS. So that started my migration back into the tax industry. And then the next year, I was going to work for them, and then I stayed in contact over the summer with my boss, and he asked me why I didn't work for him. I was like, "Mr. Henley didn't call me," but he did call me later, but by the time he called me, I told him what happened. I said, "This other company took up all my hours." So I stayed in touch, and the next year I went in and filled out the paperwork, and then I started working for them. But guess what? The IRS, after I submitted the proposal, they got me back for the next tax season. They said, "Well, we don't know Mr. Blair will be able to implement it." But we got, like they said, this is what they said. They said, "We got good news and we got bad news." I said, "All right, give me the bad news." So they said, "Well, the bad news is we love the proposal, but we don't think we'll be able to implement it in the upcoming tax season." I said, "Okay, well, what's the good news?" She said, "Well, how would you like to be a site coordinator for your own sites in the upcoming tax season?" I said, "Okay, that's cool." So yeah, that'll work. So then they made me a site coordinator. So now I didn't have to work under Quantum CDC anymore. I was my own site coordinator. So that began the partnership with the IRS. And then I was at my God folks building across the street from the facility where you first met me at. And I had about 3 suites in there because I had the for-profit check tax company and I had the partnership with the IRS. Well, later on they wanted me to actually separate the operations. My partner, Mr. Oscar Martinez, I met him when I was over there. He's a driver for UPS, and he's a major investor in PV. So a lot of people, my investors, they are people who have established business relationships or personal relationships over here. I know them throughout over 30 years of living in the community. It's an unfortunate given, but fact being, and maybe one day I'll show you. Hopefully we can change this. Is VCs aren't investing in minorities and blacks, man. And it was a major article written by a very, very recognized publication, the Huffington Post, which stated just that fact. So companies like ours have been basically with resorting to alternative ways to raise finances or private capital, private markets versus the traditional norms. And that's a doggone shame. And I even wrote letters to the SEC and NASDAQ and actually was instrumental in getting some regulations passed. But still, the money's coming down from the United States Treasuries and the brokerages and the NASDAQs and SECs are passing regulations to ease it, but it's not enough yet, man. So that's why I'm trying to create notoriety to our company, what we do, what one individual or small guy can do against the giants, and let them just, I guess, probably keep hope alive.
I think that's what your story is about.
Probably,
one individual against all these odds.
I guess so.
And telling that story and what you've been able to accomplish.
So.
It's a great story.
Thanks, sir. I just do my best, man. I figure like this, as long as I do my best, I may not reach my goals, might have quite a few times and probably still will miss my mark, but if I shoot high enough, then where it comes down and knowing that I did my very best at least I can sleep, man. I know I did my best, man, and that's all I can do when it's said and done. I did my very best. Just saying, do what you can and accept what you can.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Or wait for the moment when you can. You know? That's how I try to.
I like that line for the book.